My name is Thembi. For those who don't know me, I'm a real estate investor and a real estate coach. I've been helping people invest in real estate so that they can achieve financial independence and financial freedom. So during my help of helping people doing that, I found that when I tell people always ask me, how do I get started? How do I get started in real estate? And no matter what I tell them to do, they never seem to do it. So I would tell people, okay, you go read this book and you go do that and you do that. And people never did it. So this year, I want to try something different. Okay. So I want to try something different of how you can get started in real estate. So instead of me telling you to read the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, which is going to open your mindset and really change the way you see things, I don't want you to do that anymore. I want you starting today and tomorrow to go start looking at properties. Why am I saying that? Because when I tell you to go read a book, you go get caught up in that book. Maybe it takes you a month to finish that book. By the time you finish that book, your motivation is done. You just don't want to do anything anymore. And maybe somebody tells you, oh no, there's cryptocurrency these days. Forget real estate, there's cryptocurrency. And then you get swayed into that. So I want you, instead of trying to start reading a book and trying to get a good platform for a real estate investing and trying to get the education you need to do, I want you to just start taking action. Okay? Start taking action. So how do you get started in real estate? You just get started. You just get started. So this is my assignment to you. I want you to start looking at properties in your neighborhood. So let's just say, for example, you live in LA. That's just an example. In LA, you live in LA. I want you to start looking at properties in LA. You can do that through, if you're in the United States, Zillow.com. You can go to realtor.com. If you're in Canada, it's realtor.ca. If you're in South Africa, property.co.za. So you can just look at the local website wherever you are and look at properties, property.co.uk, and look at properties in your area, in your neighborhood. So I'm just going to use an example of LA because everybody knows where Los Angeles is, right? So you're going to look at Los Angeles. Los Angeles has properties for 100 million. And it has properties for 1 million. And I mean, I'm sure there's some which are less, but LA is maybe not a good example because it's a very expensive area. But let's just assume the cheapest property is 200,000. Let's just assume. So you're going to look at properties in LA. Obviously, you're not going to go look at properties for 100 million because that's where Beyonce's and the celebrities live. You're not going to buy that property for investment. What you're looking for is a property which you can rent out to a mom and dad and 2 kids, a regular family who works at McDonald's or works at an industry or does just a regular job. Somebody who you know is going to rent your property. You're not going to go look for a $50 million property because you're not going to get a renter. Maybe you will. But people who can afford to rent a $50 million property won't probably be renting from you, and you probably won't afford that property. So you're going to start to look at a property. You don't want to go to low end. So if you look at what I mean by low end, so for example, a property which you yourself wouldn't live in, and which maybe you yourself would not even want to walk into. So I mean an area like that. You don't want to go into an area like that where you have to carry a gun just to look at a property. You want to go to a decent area where you can rent it to an average family, a mom and dad and maybe 2 kids. The reason why I go with average families because those are the properties which are high in demand. So if you go for a bachelor suite, which you're just renting to single people, it's when the market crashes, single people move into their parents' basement. They move in back with their parents. But at least a mom, dad, and kids, or single mom with 2 children, they're not going to move back with their parents. They're usually just going to stay stuck. So you want to find a property like that, a property which you know you could rent it even when the economy drops. So when you find a property like that, that's your assignment for today. You're not going to buy it. You're going to come back here tomorrow and you're going to type in the box below these comments or below this video and tell me, Thembi, I found a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment selling for 200,000. Or I found a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment selling for 300,000. You are not physically going to look at these properties, people. You're just going on your website, whichever location you are. If you're in Canada, realtor.ca, just go to realtor.ca and start looking at properties and just look at, oh, this is something I would like to live in, or this is something which is nice I could buy and rent out. And when you do that, come back tomorrow or come back whenever you finish doing that tonight and tell me, guess what? I found this property on MLS and this is the number. Or I found this property is a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom. And then we'll move on to the next stage of seeing how much that property will rent for and seeing if it's a good property for investment in your area. So I'm hoping this is clear, right? I'm hoping this is going to help you get started, because every time you ask me, how do I get started in real estate? And I tell you, go read a book or go join a like-minded people, hang out with network. You don't want to change your friends. You don't want to read a book. You haven't read a book since you're in high school. You don't want to touch another book. So I don't want you to do that. Let's not keep doing the same thing over and over again, which doesn't work. We want to be sane people. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And that's what I've been doing last year, telling you, go read a book, because that's how I started. So I thought, oh, if I start it this way, it's going to be easier. But I've noticed that some of you don't want to read books. You're not book readers. And some of you do want to read books, but you don't want to be stuck reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You want to read a fiction by Dan Steele or whoever, or Potter, Harry Potter, something. You don't want to be reading a real estate book. So I'm giving you the freedom today. I'm giving you the freedom to go look at a property without reading a book, to go look at a property without joining any groups. I'm giving you the freedom today to go online. You don't have to stand up. Today, I want you to just sit in front of your computer, look on your website in your area, look at properties, and come back tomorrow and tell me, what is the property you found? Tell me the one which really found. Don't go for the most expensive property, remember? And don't go for the cheapest property. Just go for an average property. So in the lower end though, because you want to start with a low end property before you move on to the high end properties. So go find a property, let's say for 200,000 or 50,000 or something like that, and go look at it. I don't know what your property prices are where you live. Look at it and come back tomorrow and tell me, Thembi, I found a property. That is your assignment for today. For today. When you're done finding that property, actually, instead of posting below this video, I want you to post inside the group. We have a Real Estate Real Riches group, Facebook group. Go inside the Facebook group and post, I found a property, it's selling for this much and it's worth that much. Well, you won't know how much it's worth, but it's selling for this much. So do that. And then when you bring your property to me, I'm going to look at it and we're going to decide how much it can rent for based on your market research. And we'll go to the financing. Don't worry about how much you have in your pocket right now. Even if you've got zero, even if you've got the worst credit ever, don't worry about that right now. Right now, let's just make an assignment to go look for properties online. Make sense? Okay, so I hope that was helpful and I hope that's going to get you started. Please follow this assignment. Please do it because it's going to help you get started.